there is having a transition that's rational, and then there's having a party across the aisle that's rational. And even during what would have been a normal transition, they actually had a majority. So the thinking is they would have fought even harder against the women and the people of color than they're fighting now, because they would have been able to defeat them. So let's zero in on Neera Tanden specifically. Neera Tanden hasn't done anything worse than what Mr. Grinnell, Rick Grinnell, who Joe Manchin supported when he was nominated by the former president. She's getting this very specific fight that no one else is getting. Do you feel confident that she will be able to overcome it despite Manchin?
Well, we're fighting very hard for Neera. And, we had Senator Grassley tonight announce that he's open-minded on Neera's confirmation. We've got other Republican senators we're talking to. Look, we know that getting someone confirmed in a 50-50 Senate is hard. But Neera Tanden would be a superb budget director. She'd be one of the most outstanding budget directors we've had. She knows policy. She knows all the how to get something done in Washington. She's a great candidate for the job. And certainly we're fighting our guts out to get her confirmed.
And, I mean, Republicans don't care about that. I think let's just stipulate to that, right? They care about winning these sort of fights that are more about messaging for their side. And so targeting these, women, people of color, it's on message for them. Would Joe Biden be willing to make Neera Tanden acting OMB director if they continue to fight and if Joe Manchin continues to stand in the way?
Well, Joy, we can't make someone acting director of an agency who has not been Senate confirmed. That's the law. We can't make them acting director of an agency unless they are a career official who's been there 90 days or more. So if Neera Tanden is not confirmed, she will not become the budget director. We will find some other place for her to serve in the administration that doesn't require Senate confirmation. But let me be clear, we're going to get Neera Tanden confirmed. That's what we're working for. And she will prove her critics wrong as an outstanding budget director that works with people on both sides of the aisle. That's what I think her record truly shows. Yeah, there are some hot tweets there, of course, which she has apologized for. But I think her career of service, her work on public policy, her progress, particularly in really advancing the cause of health care coverage in America, which is so bound up in the budget business, I think she will be a superb OMB director.
And let me ask you about Joe Manchin, Senator Joe Manchin, because, politics is complicated, right? And when you have leverage, you use it. What do you think he's using his leverage for? Is this about Neera? Because, even she doesn't seem to think, or the people, you guys don't even seem to think that it's specifically about her. He has even said it's not about her personally. Is he leveraging what he sees as his power right now to get something else? Is there something else he wants? Something on the $15 an hour issue? Something on oil? Is there something else he's trying to get from you guys?
Not that I don't think so. I take Senator Manchin at his word. He is a senator who does believe we need to have more civility, more cooperation between the parties. That's his objection to Neera Tanden. I obviously disagree with him. I think Neera would actually add to that dialogue in Washington. I actually think she'd do a good job, notwithstanding the tweets. Her history of her work shows that. But look, Senator Manchin, he doesn't answer to us at the White House. He answers to the people of West Virginia. He believes this is the right vote for him. We obviously disagree, but we've been fortunate to have his support on other nominations, obviously. We're obviously working hard to get his support for the American Rescue Plan. I respect Joe Manchin's right to cast these votes. He's an independent-minded senator. That's what he's going to do. We at the White House, we're going to make our case to him and all the other Democrats and Republicans in the Senate on these key votes. That's our job. It's our job to make the case. It's their job to decide and vote.
And are you confident that you'll hold Kyrsten Sinema and some of the other more conservative Democrats?
On the Tanden nomination?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do believe that if we can, get a Republican to be the 50th vote, I do think we will be able to hold the rest of the Democrats. And I do think we'll get Neera confirmed if we can find that Republican vote. That's what we're working on right now. And that's what we're trying to get done here.
OK, let me move on to the package. We talked about, in the open, talked a little bit about the $1.9 trillion package. Are you confident that the $15 an hour minimum wage increase will be preserved?
Well, as you know, we're all waiting on bated breath for a ruling from the Senate parliamentarian, which, at least when I walked over here, had not yet come down. Her ruling is going to have a big impact on the future of that provision. The president believes we should have a $15 minimum wage. If it is ruled in order, then obviously that would allow it to move in this package. If it's ruled out of order, we're going to have to find other ways to get it done. I'm not going to guess.
Isn't it possible? And I thought that might have come through, but we will double check that. I'll ask my producers to double check that. But if, in theory, the parliamentarian were to rule against the administration's plan for $15 an hour, can't the vice president override the parliamentarian? Hasn't that happened in the past?
Not sure if it's ever happened in the past. Certainly, that's not something we would do. We're going to honor the rules of the Senate and work within that system to get this bill passed. This is a $1.9 trillion package that is vital to getting this country in a position to crush the virus, in a position to get people vaccinated, in a position to get the schools open, and to help all those people that you talked about at the start of the show. We are going to get this package passed. That's our highest priority. We want the minimum wage as part of it. That's what the president proposed. But we're going to work with the Senate to get this package passed. Obviously, the House first, then the Senate to get this package passed, because our country's ability to fight this virus and to get the economy going again turns on passing this package.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.